everyone. Welcome to this interview with Sayeh Ghanbari, EY's UK and Ireland Business Consulting Lead. My name is Mara Osumensa. I'm the co-vice chair and of the Youth Advisory Board and the young trustee for the EY Foundation. And I will be your host for today's interview. Welcome, Sayeh. How are you feeling about this interview?
I'm probably more nervous than you are, Maria, but let's see how we get on.
Yeah, let's see how we get on. I think a great place to start would be with an icebreaker. I guess for you, can you share with us something interesting about yourself that people don't know about?
Do you know, when you get to my age and you've been asked this question so many times, I feel like everyone knows everything by now. I think the thing that still surprises me when people don't know is that I train Kung Fu at quite a high level, actually. I take it quite seriously. I've been doing it for a long time. So that's the thing that makes me a little bit interesting, I think.
Amazing. Also, that's very interesting. That's an interesting hobby indeed. I guess one of my first questions to ask when I think about your position and your role is to gain an insight into what does the day-to-day of your role look like and how do you manage that? So can you share with us what the day-to-day of your position looks like?
Yeah, sure, of course. I mean, it's kind of such a cliche to say that a day of a consultant, like no 2 days are the same, but I think sometimes cliches are true, and definitely that's the case for me. So in any given day, I could be spending time with our clients, which is one of my favorite things. Time with our people, which is also one of my favorite things. And then sort of now comes the reveal of everything else, which probably is less my favorite. But what that looks like, I could be with an engagement team because I'm the QA partner and I'm looking at feedback from a client, or I could be with one of my account teams, sort of trying to solve one of our clients' problems and see how we can help and support them better. Or with many of our staff kind of speaking about their experiences at EY, how we can make it better, or I'm coaching them on their career. And then there's a part of my role which is sort of quite operational and is much more looking at the performance of our business, which is important, right? Because having a successful business means that we can employ lots of talented people and serve clients really well. So it does matter.
Let's go back to the very beginning of your journey. I know you studied engineering at university and decided to pivot into consulting. Can you share with us your journey so far into consulting and also now becoming one of the senior leaders in such a large company? How have you navigated that journey? Are there any challenges that come to mind, and how did you overcome those challenges as well?
Wow, some big questions, Maria. So how did I? Okay, so let me start with how did I start the journey? Look, I enjoyed studying engineering, but I think I figured it wasn't really for me as a career. And what I liked about the idea of doing consulting was kind of being able to apply that problem solving mindset, but doing it in a different context. And I really love working with people, and I felt like consulting is it's such a people business, and you're working in teams and with clients, and so that I was kind of really thriving on that aspect. So that's why I'm kind of more or less a career consultant. Joined a graduate program at a different company, and then sort of after 3 years joined EY, and then I've sort of grown up in EY. I feel like. Which has been really nice. And how have I navigated, I suppose, that sort of the different steps? I guess there's a few different things I think are really important for anyone in consulting. I think one thing is just being really curious and open-minded to the opportunities that come in front of you. So I have taken roles on projects that I didn't necessarily think immediately looked interesting to me, but actually I've then ended up learning lots and so on. That's been really valuable. I've gone into industries that I didn't necessarily first expect would be something that would interest me. But then, I've been surprised if it has, or sometimes actually it's validated to say, hey, that isn't really for me. But at least I've given it a go, and then I learn a bit more. So I think that curiosity and that constant need for learning is a really important part of being a consultant. Um, and then the other thing that I found really important has been that with every time kind of you move up a step in consulting, I think you have to really treat it as a new job. Like the expectations on you are very different. And I've really focused on taking that quite seriously and really understand how my role changes every time. And then therein lie some of the challenges, right? Some of the challenges are the fact that sometimes it is really difficult making those transitions as you move up the grades. I've definitely found it easier in some parts and then moved up fast. And then I found it really difficult in others and sort of stagnated a little bit. But I think any development journey is like that. I see that in my Kung Fu as well. As I'm developing, there are certain things I'm learning that just sort of sit with me, and I'm enjoying it and it works really well. And there are other things that it just takes like months, if not years, to get my head around. But the important thing, I think, is to have patience with yourself, but also to have that perseverance, because that is what personal growth and development really looks like. And then I'm conscious that often people, when they ask me about the challenges, like there's a sort of undertone of, um, like being different, like not being a majority culture person in kind of a big corporate firm. And, the reality for me has been that I've been really lucky. I think I've not felt like direct and overt differences, but I am conscious that it is, it is different. So I don't think we should hide from that. But I've always felt very accepted at EY, and I think that's one of the reasons that I've been sort of, I felt like I've stayed and I've loved working at EY, because I just have always been myself and almost made that deal with the firm, which is, this is how I am, and the firm accepts me as it is, and therefore it's been quite, and then you get more and more confident as you get rewarded, because you move up and then you think, oh well, so this was okay then, so then I'll carry on, and then so that's been kind of an interesting journey in itself, actually.
Yeah. I think one of the first points or advice that you actually shared with us was seizing opportunities. So a question that comes to mind for me is how do you how do you go about finding these opportunities, especially the ones that might not be advertised? How do you go about looking for those opportunities and ensuring that you're attracting those opportunities to yourself in the workplace?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think that's one that often, when I speak to, again, kind of thinking about that sort of minority, majority cultures, often when I speak to people who feel from minority cultures, feel like, well, those opportunities are not necessarily coming to me as much. And look, I think, for me, it's a lot about being kind of brave enough to build relationships, and build relationships with everybody. I think one of the things that the way I've kind of treated my career and how and my relationships with people is, I don't really place a big difference between someone who is very senior or someone who is just starting off their career. And actually really trying to build a connection with every individual. And I think that served me well, because it's through those little connections that things come up. The other thing I think, as you're starting off your career, is really important. And I think, Mario, we've talked a bit about this as you're about to start a new job as well, has been, about actually people notice like high performance, right? So if you really focus on doing a good job and you're good at your job, then what tends to happen is people will then speak about you to others. and therefore sort of your reputation builds. So I think, be brave to build a connection, a one-to-one connection with everyone you come across. Maintain those relationships in an authentic way, take an interest in other people, and they will take an interest in you. And then there's no replacement for being good at your job. There really isn't, because that's how people find out about you. So focus on being like bringing the best of yourself every day to what you do, and the opportunities will come to you.
You've recently taken on leading the UK and Ireland consulting team as a whole, while Benoit has been on leave. How has running the business been like so far? Is there any kind of differences that you see in your normal or previous role compared to this one?
Look, it's been really good fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I think the thing that I realize the most is that when you have a team that is leading a business and you work together as a team, actually one person stepping away for a time, the team still steps in, right, and the team is still functioning, and I think it just shows that amazing power of collectives working together for a common goal, and that's been really nice for me to see. So look, I look forward to when I take a chunk of time off, and I know that the team in my part of the business will absolutely be able to carry on their own, but a great testament to how well teams work together.
You've been working at EY for the past 15 years, which is quite a long time to even imagine for me. What would you say is so unique about working at EY? And what would you say has also made you stay for so long as well?
Without a doubt, it's the people and our culture. I really, really like the people that I work with. And I've worked with a really broad range of people over the years. And I've got so many people that I would call dear friends, and colleagues that I just am always learning from or having a laugh with. It really makes a big difference. And I think it's really difficult to think about kind of being in a place that doesn't have that level of warmth. You spend so much time at work that you've got to really enjoy it. So that's really been the main thing for me.
I guess we can't really end this conversation or this interview without asking you who your role model is and why they are your role model as well.
My role models are my parents. It's really easy for me. My parents are the most amazing people I know. They're the smartest and most fun, kind of most inspiring people I have ever met. So I continue to I continue to learn from them. I continue to be like enjoying their company, and sort of have their continued support in everything that I do. So yeah, I think my parents and they've done so much for me and my sister, and that in itself I find incredibly inspiring. So yeah, definitely my parents.
That's a great way to end this interview. Thank you so much, Sayeh, for having this conversation with me. I've learned so much even from this conversation. I'm sure everyone else who watches it will. Yeah, doing
that. Thanks, Maria. Thank you so much for spending the time. And I look forward to seeing you soon on that, either for the EY Foundation or we catch up for coffee again.